What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Passionate DJ Podcast. I'm your host, David Michael. I'm here with Tony DeCero, Trip Turlington, and Mo Dingo.
Yeah.
How you fellas doing?
They're good, man.
Yeah. Doing it.
And special returning guest for your own episode, actually in person this time.
Yes.
The one and only Mr. Fatty Lumpkin.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here, man.
Thanks, guys.
For those of you that don't speak that speak Spanish, that's El gato. No, that's cat, right?
Fatty Lumpkin.
El gordo lumpkin.
Apparently, it's a horse from Lord of the Rings.
Really?
I found out way later.
All right.
You should have trademarked it
I thought
first,
it was
man.
just a joint.
Allegedly.
Very nice, very nice. So we have a lot of things, I think, that we can talk about today, but I want to start with a bit of news because today, the day that we're recording, there was actually a new hardware announcement, which Trip brought up right before I hit record. I said, wait.
And then he told me, "Shut up!
Yeah.
Shut up! Save it for the camera."
So Rain announced the release of the Mark II versions of the 12, which is the players, the turntable controller style players, and the Rain 72 mixer, which is that battle style mixer, kind of like the Pioneer S9 style with the momentary paddle switches for the effects and all that kind of stuff. Kind of the big deal with the mixer is it comes with better faders now. It's got Mag 4 faders, including the crossfader. And they actually added an external tension adjustment for the crossfader so that you can, without even opening the case, you can adjust that.
That's nice.
Tension of the crossfader. And then they added a couple of things like they have dual DVS inputs now. So on the back of that mixer, one of the inputs for each channel says aux. And it will accept that as timecode input now. So I guess if you want to kind of expand your setup or whatever. But those kind of setting changes are firmware updates that are actually coming to the first mixer. So if you own the first one, you don't necessarily want to upgrade just to, unless you really want those faders. But then
And if you're going to do that, go ahead and hit us up on the Passion DJ Marketplace.
Well, those faders are replaceable. And so they said they're going to make these faders available for owners of the original 72. So you can actually just swap them in. So it's pretty similar in that regard. However, the Rain 12 Mark II, kind of the big deal about that, everybody saw this, was it Jazzy Jeff or was it Craze? I can't remember, that somebody posted a live stream. I want to say
and someone was like, hey, what's that mixer?
They're like, wait a minute, that's the Rain 12, but there's more buttons.
Yeah, that was
on it.
Craze.
Yeah, like what's going on with that? And so this
Forgot
is what
about
it
that.
was.
Yeah.
The big deal with that is it's not just for Serato anymore. They've opened it up, at least for DVS and MIDI, USB MIDI control for Tractor and Virtual DJ. So they've kind of, not the mixer, that still requires Serato, but now you can get those kind of Rain turntable,
Here's hoping for that next stimulus check.
Right. So what I don't know is how Tractor and Virtual DJ friendly is it really? Like, is it literally like going to be the same experience as it is with Serato?
Or is it one of those you got to get in there and start
it
MIDI
laggy?
mapping and all of that?
Have they been friendly like that before across platforms?
Rain?
Yeah.
No. They've been pretty Serato-centric for a long time, haven't they?
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see if this is their first go-around.
Fatty, have you ever played on you're kind of a Rain guy, right? Have you ever played on the 12s or any of the newer Rain mixers?
I have not tried any of that.
You use
stuff.
a 57 or 56?
The 57.
And so you've probably been beating on that thing for a
about
while.
10 years, yeah.
They can take it, right?
Yeah, I say it obviously sturdy.
Yeah. For those of us in our audience who aren't aware, you're an incredible scratch DJ, and you're not easy on equipment. Right?
No, I wouldn't. Like, Rain has been the best. Vestex ruled the world for a long time, but then Rain came out with those. That thing's had a beer spill in it, and it still goes just like, right out of the package.
Yeah.
Their faders and everything have just been key for a long time.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's cool because this is kind of the, the spiritual successor to a mixer like this. Just adding all the modern, the fancy waveform screens and the new paddle style effects and all that. And then with the 12s, the players, they also added just a tiny little OLED screen, and it shows like your BPM and stuff like that. And they added a scroll knob and a back button for browsing tracks and stuff, which they probably did because they added virtual DJ and tractor support, because now you might not be using it with the mixer, which has all that stuff on it.
Right.
Now you might pair it with a Tractor Z2 or something like that.
So soon to be just a turntable you can plug a USB in and leave it at that and go with it. Hopefully the next couple versions.
You would imagine that's where it's like a newer version of, remember the old Technics ones that they had?
Yep.
I think it was.
I owned a pair for about 6 days. I hated them.
There was someone that hacked it a few years ago. A Russian guy who put a small hard drive.
That's right.
In
Yeah,
that
I saw
turntable.
that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, and then they changed the start-stop button to be a plunger style like this from the Techniques, so just to make it a more familiar thing. So again, little iterations, little changes, couple of creature comforts, but nothing major. Just kind of a nice update for, especially if you don't already own it, or if you're a Tractor Virtual DJ user, maybe you're giving those a second look where you weren't before. So the 72 Mark II and the 12, they both released in third quarter.
I just saw the price.
Right.
Yep, the 72 is $18.99. The 12 is $8.99 each.
Okay.
I mean,
Yep, that's pretty much it. Oh, and I put together an initial kind of overview video for the DJ hookup. You can go check that out in the description box below.
And then, I don't know if you caught it, but how we were just dissing Tractor on the last episode, they actually finally did a little bit of software updating where now you can do smart playlists on DJ Pro 3. I mean, it's something, because we haven't really seen a lot in about 9-ish months, almost a year.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit something, and I guess there's more of a push where they're going to start doing iterative releases versus like big, bulky releases, just to kind of give people the emotional satisfaction that they're actually moving forward and trying to do something for the customers.
I think they're probably taking a page out of their own book as far as hardware goes too, because like even with this rain stuff, like especially the mixer, there's not a lot that's drastically different than the Mark I version, and half of it is coming in an update that is going to go to the old ones, right? So it's kind of like, I don't want to say there's probably a little extra hype more than there should be for what really ultimately amounts to pretty small changes. But that's why they call it a Mark II and not a Rain 13 or whatever.
Right.
So can't complain. And it's nice to see that these companies are they're making those little changes instead of just, like Native Instruments and some other just wait 4 years between, updates.
Yeah.
Four if you're lucky.
Yeah.
Anyhow, welcome.
Thank you.
I'd love to talk to you about what has been going on in your life, and especially as a DJ. But just to kind of reintroduce you to the audience, maybe tell us a little bit about who you are as a DJ, what you like to play, where you play, and all that kind of the normal stuff.
Started out DJing for the love. Everything we've done as a group with Skratchmatik and our hip hop nights and the shows we've thrown, it was all for the love and everything like that. I had a child, so like the last 8 years, kind of just the easiest way to make money for a DJ in Dayton was, play a top 40 club. It worked out. Ned Peppers take care of me for years. I get to do, a lot of the music in the style of DJing I like to do. But at the same time, play to the crowd, and a lot of things have happened in Dayton, and we had the tragedy that happened last year.
Almost exactly a year ago.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot has happened, and now with COVID and everything being shut down and slow, well, for years I've been, Dave Chappelle's been having me come out and do private things for him, private parties. It's just lucky, same area. It's a small hip hop community, so we met, and he hired me to do private things and stuff. But at the beginning of the summer, he called me and said it was going to be a little bit different, and didn't even really tell me what it was. It happened during, the protests when all that started sparking up. So I thought it was going to be some sort of rally or something like that. But we get out to the pavilion, and we're all of a sudden we're doing comedy shows all summer, and I've been riding that ride ever since. We've done I think 31 shows.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
it's been pretty fascinating to watch, just kind of watching your social media pages and then watching everybody else's social media pages, because there's this kind of like, can you get in? Are there any tickets? Yeah, Trip's got the mask over there.
I've been there.
I thought you were taking a video of me for some reason. They've been kind of like, I'm watching people who are not involved like me, and they're like, can you get in? What's the story? What's this thing that's happening? And they've kind of been this people
kind of just started quietly underground,
kind
almost,
of also in acting as an example for how to do an event in 2020 with social distancing and all that kind of stuff, kind of leading by example in some way. I'm sure there's been struggles with that, and you may or may not want to speak to that.
Well, no, yeah, I mean, it was cool watching them figure it out as they go. We started, with 60 guests, the first few of them, and it was the rules that they've given everybody. 6 feet apart. Everybody wear masks and stuff like that. But it's just grown and grown. I don't know. I'm not part of any of the planning or anything like that, but you can just tell they do a very good job of making sure everything is so organized, and every time I go in, everybody's all taken care of. You know where to go. Everybody's distanced. It's timed out right. You go get tested, and everybody that mingles in the back, we're all tested. They don't let anybody back unless you got your bracelet and stuff. So it's well maintained, well taken care of.
And the bracelet just says that you're COVID free, correct?
Right.
That you're talking about?
Yeah. You have to have that. I mean, we got our backstage passes and stuff, but there's certain areas that as a joke, we call it like the new racism, because if you're seen without a bracelet, you're like, no, get out.
Scarlet letter, or
every time somebody coughs or sneezes, it's the vid. It's the vid.
I can't even imagine trying to just my own, like, trying to be a good citizen, trying to be prepared, planning for this show to have 5 people in a very large room. I think I sent you an early message like, hey, just so you know, when you get here, like, I wipe everything down, all the touch points, I blast all the doorknobs with Lysol and blah blah, and I'll do the same when you leave.
Yeah.
And if I wear a mask around you, don't be offended, and this and and it's a lot to really think about. It's like, I want to make sure that people, when they walk in, they feel comfortable, whether or not their views on it align with mine or whatever. And I can't imagine trying to do that at any more of a scale than this.
Right.
I mean,
well, and it's like you said, that whole good citizen thing. Like I said, I went to one of those shows, my wife and I, and we knew that Jesse was playing. Sorry, Fatty.
Don't use my real name.
I was gonna say, I've known you for 20 years, man. Like,
just to interject, the last time you were on, when I called you Fatty the first time, I was like, they're gonna think I hate him.
But yeah, I mean, we knew that you were up there playing and everything, so like, and I always want to say hi, and I always, I always want to say what's up to my homies and make sure that they know that, we're there to support, but like, assuming that was the case, I don't know if you noticed, but like, I was way over here, to the one side of a speaker, and I like stepped over just enough to where he could see me. I was like, Jesse! Of course, he couldn't hear me. Somebody next to him was all like, hey, yo. Gave him one of these, and then went back to our seat. But it was really slick, man. I mean, all of the seats were more than 6 feet apart, set in pairs. And I mean, especially if you were there early, I mean, there couldn't have been more than what? I mean, I know you've done a lot of these, but I think that night that we were there couldn't have been more than a couple hundred people there.
Right. And you came, it's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger each time. After the 4th, they pretty much kept, it's like 3, I think up to 400 seats now.
But I mean, it was amazing. I mean,
is it 400 times 2 or 400 total?
No, it's
200 pairs.
200 pairs.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So I've got to ask. I mean, how we've almost glossed over the fact that you're Dave Chappelle's resident.
Right?
You're like, well, I was really into hip hop and in it for the love, and I met Dave Chappelle, and now
Dave
I
Chappelle
play
called
Yeah, that Dave Chappelle, folks. Yeah,
how do you get to that point? I mean, he had to have heard your work, or somebody recommended you.
Hubert probably told him about you. What happened.
He's friends with Issa Ali, who's part of Village Fam, and they would come. They would come to One Eye Jack's for our hip hop night all the time. He knew Shane Creeping Bear, who I had Wednesday night at. So Shane's from Yellow Springs, and Dave would come there a lot. And then I had a night at Fox and the Hound. That's right. Tuesday night, Fox and the Hound, just like a college night for a few years. And because it was the closest bar from where he's at, he would ride his motorcycle down, and he would come until it got too crazy. Then he'd have to leave. But I've known him for years. And then he threw, just private parties at bed and breakfasts in Yellow Springs. He would rent out Solar a lot. It would be spur of the moment. I need a DJ. And then, Shane would do it a lot. And I think I got more involved when Shane just couldn't do it. So it would be me. And then, it's evolved over the years. And then once he, got the shack out there, we just party out there all the time, whether it's like 3 or 4 people, he'll call me up just to come play music, and I'll be playing for 3 or 4 people.
I can't even imagine that. That has to be such a compliment, because if Dave Chappelle is known as a connoisseur of anything besides comedy, it's music and hip hop and
the culture.
He has to be picky about that. I mean, if you ever hear him talk about it, he has to be picky. So for him to choose you and keep calling you back and say, I want you to play some, come over here and play some Tribe or whatever he does. I don't know what he says. I mean, that just has to feel really awesome.
It does. I think it's real easy. It's like family. We came up in the same era and listened to the same music. I mean, it would be all the same things we would all listen to and stuff. Right. I mean, it's not really that,
So you already know what your strike zone is.
Yeah. I mean, it's easier for me to play there
than it is like
Ned's or something. I'm like guessing what these kids like, where I can just play the stuff I know the words to the entire song. And that's our whole thing at the shack. It's like 5 people, but we're in high school again. Word for word. Outkast songs, Tribe songs, Wu-Tang songs, and stuff. Yeah. That's like the magical part.
Do you?
Dave picks a lot of the songs.
Does he?
Yeah, Talib Kweli likes to DJ a lot, which is a really cool thing we can talk about, because him being one of the master MCs, he comes and he likes to DJ, and he'll sit. I'll start out and I'll be playing and stuff like that, and then he'll show up with his computer and he'll be sitting behind me like a young hungry DJ, when's it my turn? When's it my turn? And then I'll let him get on, and he doesn't want to stop. I'll come back throughout the night you good? You good? And he's like, I'm good. He's like a young hungry DJ, And I'm looking at it, he's like the god MC, but
right.
Are there any?
Wait your turn, man.
Yeah. Are there any Flash Black Star sets that just happen on occasion?
At the shows, Mose hasn't been there yet, but Talib's performed a few times just randomly at the end of the show. Did he do it at yours?
No. There wasn't any musical guest at ours, but I mean Gina and I have been sitting there with credit card ready, especially once more of those have the details come out, and then it's like, come on. Yeah. We've been holding out for a couple specific names, but we know that they don't come out, so just been waiting on a call from you. But
I don't even know.
No, you really want to be at this one.
Hey, Jesse, what does your crate look like for this?
I would kind of hear who was coming a couple days before, like the camp would, and they've kind of even restricted that just because
that's cool though.
There's people have come so hungry with it. They've got Facebook pages.
Yeah,
and
they
stuff.
Don't have to. I mean, and especially when things like Letterman. When that creeps out, you all of a sudden there's pictures of Letterman and Chappelle just sitting
on a bench in Yellow Springs.
I know that bench.
Yeah.
I know that Chinese restaurant too.
Yeah. So they can afford to be as tight-lipped as they want now.
Right.
It doesn't matter. You're going to get a good show.
Yeah.
I wonder, Jesse, if you, Fatty, sorry, if you, do you do you turn it on more or less as far as the skills and the scratching and the technical aspects when you're playing a show like that, with Dave and with celebrities around and things like that, than you would at Ned's or somewhere else? Does it affect you in any way, or is it pretty much the same?
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing 100%. Like when I'm at a show, like I'll go back and forth. Like from when they open the gates, people are just walking in, so I'm just playing like chill, Dave-esque hip hop vibes. You know what I mean? But like lower tempo, some Lauryn Hill, Marley stuff, and then then I'll kind of bring it up and then back down, because I'll play for about an hour and a half, and then when it's just me, I'll do the whole thing. So I'll play, and then up until he comes out and stuff like that. When Trauma's in town, DJ Trauma, that's his tour DJ. They've done thousands of shows together. He's super cool and has been super cool to me, like just through the whole thing. But he'll come on about 9:15 and then play and for about 45 minutes until Dave comes out, and then we'll kind of take turns like just playing the 10-second things, because once the show starts, we're done. Like we just play like the 10-second thing in between each comedian, and then that's it, and maybe a song at the end. If Talib or one of them play, Brother Ali played. We'll drop their instrumental. So it's a really easy, simple job. I mean, it's been a treat for real.
Hell yeah.
That's incredible, man. That's so cool that you get to have something that special, especially in a time like now when, I mean, that's such a rarity.
Yeah.
It's a moment of time, a flash in the pan that you've managed to
be a huge
lightning in a bottle,
rather,
that you've managed to capture. That's kind of awesome.
Yeah. Within that hour and a half, I'll go up and down. I'll play, the climate's been, when I first started out, I was playing like a lot of anti-police, songs like that, like
know your audience.
KRS-One song, NWA type stuff, that. But then but it's kind of gotten out of that. We're just try to just like he says, everybody comes now thinking because of 846 he's going to say some woke stuff, but he's like, now it's just going to be pussy jokes.
That was that hands down. We died laughing as soon as he said that, like, because I mean we didn't know what to expect, but we get out there and he's all like, y'all thought I was gonna
were you there for that recording of 846?
Yes, I was right. If you pan the camera 2 feet, I would have been sitting right there.
Wow, can I ask you, I mean, tell me, what was the temperature of the room, quote unquote? Like, what was that atmosphere? Bring us there.
Well, wait, before you answer that, did anybody know that that's what that was going to be?
No, none of us.
You just had a message that day.
Yeah, because I was going out to the shack a whole bunch. When he's in town, I'm there like 3 or 4 nights a week. Like he goes hard. He goes hard, because it's
red wine.
It's his man cave. So I mean, like it's just like one of us going to. It's like you come into your garage or something like that. He goes to spots.
It's his fortress of solitude.
He can he just wants to have somebody playing music, because when I'm not there, he's playing off his phone, and he's just not the type to like
curate.
So it's like a bother to go in there and find a song and have to hit play and stuff. So to like have somebody playing, like he'll call me at like 9 o'clock. Can you be here in an hour? And I'll do it, because it's easy. Yeah. Like sometimes I'll just go and plug in my computer and we'll watch a boxing match or something.
Is he real camera shy in a situation like that when it's more private?
No, he's he'll chilling with Dave, like he'll grab the mic like quite a few times. He'll turn off the music and just start talking. He likes to show love to everybody. He likes to, whatever's going on. If it's somebody's birthday, he'll take 30 minutes to sit there and shout them out, and it'll be personal. And it's
a couple times he came to the Devin the Dude shows, man. Like I'd never come across him, and he was at those shows, and he was just amazing. Like just talking, just giving everybody love, like having conversations with Philly Phil right there on stage, like shouting him out for throwing the shows. You know what I mean? Yeah.
He knows what that means, and he knows that what his power does. So he tries to do that for a lot of people. And what he's doing out there with everybody that works out there is from Ohio. All the workers, the bathroom workers, the security and stuff like that, it's all from Ohio, and he meant to do that.
It's awesome.
Even with even me and stuff like that, he's, just bringing everybody together and, shows love, and then shouts out food trucks like Fat and Rich and stuff like that. They've been out to his house a few times now.
Awesome.
And like Donnell's the same way. He's shown love to Fat and Rich.
Freeman.
Freeman stuff. I just, they loved his design, and Freeman gave me a bunch of shirts, and I gave them to everybody. They love them, been wearing them. And,
shout out Matt Freeman, another repeat guest here on the show.
So it's all love. It's all family. They're saying, it's Ohio's the new Hollywood.
Yeah.
It's the new.
Well, no. Because
less the earthquakes.
Well, no, they kept making reference to that at least the show that we went to. I mean, they kept referencing how COVID is shutting everything down. So now that they've worked with the current situation, they figured this thing out, and now you've got all these big name people in the comedy circuits, and now music that's coming out here. I mean, and it's funny because that night, I'm sure they do it every night, but they just keep making reference to how they're out there throwing a comedy show in the middle of a cornfield.
Donnell Rollins, his whole act has now shifted to talking about his experiences here, which is an extra cool thing. You can see the ones that have been there regularly, like Mo and Michelle, and they their acts are kind of they start talking about their experiences here. Michelle's talking about being here and having 6 periods here and stuff like that, which stuff like that. And Donnell talks about his experiences here, kayaking and stuff like that, which a lot of them haven't done before, and he makes fun of when they all went and stuff like that. So it's really unique to being from Ohio and watching these people from Brooklyn and LA coming and talking about how they kayaked for the first time and they love it and they're putting it into their show. It's pretty neat.
I feel like we need to give him one of our GoPros and just say fill this up full of your story, whatever you want to catch.
I got a chest strap for him.
Is that seriously a thing, or is it the cameras are a little you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean phones are always a no around there. He just doesn't want to deal with it. I mean, just when he's on, it's okay. They don't want, phones in there, of course, recording the show and stuff. So when it's locked, but even with, being backstage or at the shack or anything like that, just, it's just a mutual respect. It's that whole, just no phones, no recording, no pictures and stuff.
Yeah.
He's fine with pictures, just, but when he's in public, if you do one, you're going to do 1,000 of them. So he's a really nice guy about it. I've seen him have to say no 1,000 times, and it's man, I would get so, but he just, he knows how to respectfully just say, no, I can't, I'm sorry. Yeah,
it's got to take either a special kind of person or a very practiced routine to know how to work through that and handle it
without just saying, you know what, fuck y'all.
If there's not a lot of people around, he'll take a picture with somebody. Cool. But cool. If there's a lot of people, then because I've seen it happen, and that's why I said One Eye Jacks, or at Fox and the Hound years ago, he would sit there, and as long as everybody was cool, he's cool. But then people would literally just stare or come up, walk up, and say, hey, do you care if I get a picture, just straight off the bat, and then one person starts talking, then you start getting a crowd, and it's just really people. But I mean, it's understandable. But and he just walks away when that happens.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, I don't know if it's just a different mentality than all of that. I mean, I've had my picture taken with some celebrities, throughout, but for me, I don't know if it's just been the people that we've been around, or maybe it's just a different mindset. But I mean, I always have thought of it from that angle. If it's a more intimate environment and okay, cool, you get to talking to somebody, and then, before you leave, hey, you mind if I grab a picture with you or something like that? But
rather than just assaulting them.
Right. But because I mean, I don't know how I would be able to take that, or how I would be able to manage that.
See, I'm kind of the same way. And it's happened several times. During traveling, I'll just see something, especially in the sporting world. I'll see something oh shit, that's so and so, and I just there with his family. I'm like, give them a nod or whatever and just like leave them alone. But then if I see them giving pictures or signing autographs or whatever, then I'll go like, I'm not going to be the first one to go interrupt what it is, because like they're on vacation with their family, or they're just trying to be a normal person for just a little bit, and I respect that. I just respect their space and their privacy and their time. And if their family's with them, I always thank the family too for letting me take a picture with them, because I've had several wives look at me like, wow,
like, come on,
thank you. No, like thank you, like, because no one ever says anything to the family, but they're being inconvenienced too. Yeah. So I always make it a point to give some love to mama and the kids, as well. So
yeah, for me, like if I say anything at all to like most of the time, it's thank you.
Yeah. It's plain and simple.
Like for example, Slug from Rhymesayers. Yeah. Like, I mean, I can't tell you how many Rhymesayers or Atmosphere shows that I've been to over the years. I don't have a single picture with Slug. I don't have a single picture with any of them. But but Sean, he hangs out, in front of the venues before all of their shows.
That freaked me out when we went to that Urban show, and I was just like, what?
Yeah, but I've shaken his hand. I can't tell you how many times, and I've never said more than 2 words to him, and it's always been thank you, because I've grown up with his music, and I mean it speaks to it. Speaks to me. I grew up with that, and I identify with it. So
and that's how you that's how you met your wife.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I always remember that. Whenever I hear Atmosphere, I always think about you two and your first date.
Yeah, I mean, you could call it the first date. It was that was a shit show, is what that was. But no, but with Dave, like, never met him, but huge fan of his work, from way back. But we all know people who have seen him all over the place and all stuff like that. So like, even just remotely given the opportunity, it would just be thank you, because he's done so much.
He loves that. He loves the thank you, and he loves talking to people, and it's just when it gets overwhelming,
right,
or when there's quite a few people, then it's. Yeah, but I mean,
for me, it's kind of like Bigfoot. Like, I always hear people say, "Oh yeah, I saw Dave Chappelle at the gym. I saw Dave." And I was like, "I've lived here for 10 years and never seen him once."
Right, man. But yeah, what I think I really like, or what I really respect about him, is that he's always been real. You know what I mean? Like, in everything. And then, just when you think you've got his comedy or his personality figured out, and then, whoop, Yeah. Like,
well, it's so cool too, because, it's not very often that somebody will kind of stay and like represent Ohio and like,
not just represent,
help out Ohio.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. Not just represent, but everything he's done for the community. I mean, especially after
what happened last year,
especially after the Oregon District shooting.
Yeah, he really is he's like a local treasure. You know, so it's like when you say, "Oh, I saw Dave," like everybody knows who Dave is. Right? It's like Madonna, right? So it's just kind of a neat thing. But I do want to, if I can, come back to the 846. Is it 46? Right?
846.
And share as much as you want, because I'm sure that was an intense moment. But just what was the room, or not the room, but the crowd reaction to that, and
I was trying not to cry like multiple times.
I can imagine.
Yeah, like it was. I mean, everybody was laughing and stuff too. He's got that magic and be able to go just back and forth. Like, he'll just be so deep for a second, and then just say something off the wall, and then bring it right back. But it's what was needed for a lot of people. Like, I don't know, just everybody's like, what should I, what's going on? It just kind of pulled everybody together as far as like that, our whole camp.
But kind of uniting.
Like, none of us were, Dave doesn't talk about, except probably with, a few people, what he's going to say or what he's going to do. But, I was surprised and moved.
Well, and I think that was especially for Dave. I think that was a really powerful way to say, you don't have to look to me. Like, there are plenty of other people who can and will and are the leaders, and it doesn't matter what I say,
right? Even
though it does matter, but. It's him trying to say, I'm not the only one that carries a torch here, so I'm stepping back,
Right.
but here's how I feel about it. Now you all,
let the people speak.
Right. Like Talib is, I think, he put something out there that was like, there are a lot of people on different paths. As long as it's all progress, keep moving forward. So, what Dave's path is not necessarily the same path as all of us. We're all doing what we can, how we can, in our own lives and in our own circles. So I think that was a really powerful, succinct way for Dave to put that out.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Sure.
Yeah,
Appreciate
that's awesome.
that.
Sure.
Man, I hate to just keep hammering about that because there's so many things that we could keep talking to you about now that you're here. We kind of glossed over the Skratchmatik era. Former turntable band, I guess you could almost.
Yes.
That's what I was going to say. How do we segue back to that? Because
Yeah.
that's how you and I met. If you remember, what was
I
it?
know
Elbows?
Yeah.
I know
Oh, wow.
it's an odd transition.
before that.
That's a throwback.
Yeah.
I know it's an odd transition, so to speak, but I would love to talk a little bit about that, just because I remember even in my kind of earliest my earliest days going out where I was interested in this sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You guys were up there, and it was the first time that I saw that sort of everybody's playing an instrument, but they're all turntables, but I've got a bass line and I've got a vocal and I've got hi-hats and tops and stuff. And so I mean, like, did you guys just form that as a band, like, hey, we're all turntablists, we should do this? Or I mean, how did that evolve to be?
Etch and No Neck Ned, that was the original Skratchmatik Assassins.
Okay.
And they started doing I started, doing like house music and raves and stuff like that. That's how I started on turntables. But then, I always listened to hip hop growing up. But just what got me playing on turntables was Jinko's raving, dancing, house music. And then, it was just house, jungle, and techno. That was like
Maybe some break beats here and there.
Yeah, break beats. But then I started watching the DMC videotapes. They were video, we only had VCRs back then. So it was like the 97, 98, 99, 2000 DMCs, and watched them over and over and over again. And then me and this other guy who I was dating a girl who went to Wright State, a guy in her class who we got together and partied a lot. He liked my turntables. He had rich parents that bought him like some techniques and everything like that. So we lived together and we basically battled every day. Me and Paul Hester sat there and like basically learned to scratch and juggle, watching these videos. And then just through the scene, of course, went down to Super Duper Fresh Wednesdays, the hip hop spot where DJs are playing. Met Etch and everybody, and then was like, yo, we scratch too. So just started showing up every week. And that's all it was nobody said, okay, would you want to be in our group or nothing like that. It was just all the DJs were showing up every week and we were doing it. And then when a time came to where like, oh, you guys need a name or something like that, we stuck with Skratchmatik. But
that's cool. I didn't
we never
realize
thought
that.
about any of that. It was just doing it every week for the love.
It's an organic thing.
That went along with the open mic that we did as well. We basically, of course, just doing the scratching and the DJing and watching the battles. We learn of the executioners and Qbert and all them, the Visible Scratch Pickles. And we basically mimicked them using their records and stuff. It wasn't much to work with. Just got into the art of DJing.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, for me around that time, it was hilarious because, if I was in Cincinnati, it was Animal Crackers. When I was in Dayton, it was Skratchmatik. So
I introduced ourselves as that. We're like, I'd say we're Skratchmatik. We're the Animal Crackers of Dayton.
Just to confuse everyone.
I said that 100 times. Yeah.
So as a DJ playing house and techno, you said you liked hip hop a lot. Did you have a hip hop DJ that you actually listened to or that influenced you outside of your Qberts and Baboos and stuff for me it was Jam Master Jay.
before that, and it wasn't a specific one. It was just like I grew up in Piqua, Ohio. I was raised on Yo MTV Raps. I had an older sister and an older cousin. The CNN
of hip hop.
I was the youngest out of my sister and my cousin and stuff, and we grew up just listening and watching MTV, Yo MTV Raps and stuff like that.
Back when there was music.
Yeah, and then like early high school and stuff. Just started going to raves and stuff like that. So it wasn't really like Bad Boy Bill was the man when I first started DJing.
Yeah.
I didn't have like a favorite I love the art of DJing and scratching, and then of course, you have all the ones that you would see like on MTV Reps from like Run DMC and this like your DJs, but the real like DJ I really focused on first was just like Bad Boy Bill and stuff like that, because he was cutting and scratching, and like I loved house music.
Yeah,
like I like jungle drum and bass and stuff like that, but house music was where it was at for me, like because I danced and stuff.
Right.
So I started playing out in the house, but then jungle and drum and bass is just so fun to scratch to. So like I would do that. Like I never classified, like in the beginning I classified I was a house DJ. But then, once you move on, it was just like hard to classify yourself. It's like, man, I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this. I always hated wanting to like classify myself, and that might have hurt me too, as far as like my early career, like why I've like moved on to Neds and never just evolved into like the EDM scene or anything like that, because I never promoted myself as one thing or pigeonholed myself. Like if I'd have just, I'm Fatty Lumpkin house DJ and just did house and was known for house, kind of like how a couple people from Dayton latched on to dubstep and held on to that and kind of made themselves a name with that or something, and
they went down with that ship. But so to that point though, that's I don't know that there was a right answer to any of that though, because like, there was definitely something to be said for, okay, I've got a moniker and you can attach it to this, and when people show up, they know what they're going to get. But then there's also the benefit of, you're Fatty Lumpkin, so you don't know what you're going to get when you show up to certain places. I mean, just depends on the venue and the vibe and what it is. So I don't know that there's ever been a right answer to that. For me personally, I've had no less than half a dozen monikers, across however many different genres over the years. And it's a lot of work to do that. Like, because if you want to have, this brand that people can identify to, and then when you're not using that, just put it aside. There's a lot of work in that.
Hell, just having 2 Instagram accounts, I'm like,
yeah, I know. That's what I'm thinking. Fast. That's what I'm thinking in my head right now. I'm like, man, I get what you're saying, like having multiple hats. So you're just like Firecat, how he's got House Cat now, and Firecat, and the same thing with Mr. Shifter and Jackie Boy. So that way when you see the name, you know what you're getting. But like for me, it's like I'm all over the damn place, depending on whether I'm doing a wedding, I'm doing corporate, I'm doing fitness, or I'm streaming from home. So it's like, for me to try and dice that up, I'd have to have like 4 Instagram accounts.
Yeah, I think the conclusion I drew on that was like, because I kind of had the same, we all go through this, like, do I create a new project for this or not? Right. And I'm like, okay, if I get to the point where I'm really serious about a particular kind of sound, like I want to go make an EP or an album or something that is drastically different than what people would expect when I go out, then I'll just create a project for that, and I'll call it the whatever project, and then that'll be its own name. And I've just never gotten serious enough about it for it to be a problem. So I just keep calling myself David.
Right.
And it's even interesting, like, quote, mainstream big name guys like even doing that, because was it Soul Pilot or
Test Pilot?
Test Pilot. Yeah, Test Pilot and Deadmau5, completely different sounds, but still having the ability to, like, exactly what you're getting when you hear Deadmau5 versus Test Pilot. Yeah.
Well, that was like, so he could get on the movement lineup, right?
Right.
Tag with Richie.
I don't know, Snoop got on there.
Yeah. DJ Snoopadelic. Yeah.
Snoopadelic, yep.
I never really had a choice. It's like I started out playing house and stuff, El Diablo and all that, you guys and Howard.
Yeah.
And then started doing the Skratchmatik thing, and that just went that way.
Right.
So it wasn't like I was just like, okay, I mean that's where I went, but it wasn't like I was just, okay, now I want to do this. It was just like, we were showing up every week, and now we're Skratchmatik and we're a turntable band. It's like,
so you guys just practiced a lot, kind of fed off of each other?
We never practiced at all, ever.
Really?
It was just, we did 1 or 2 nights a week, every week. And
that's
when we jammed out.
Yeah.
I mean, we got together at the house and jammed and stuff like that, but we was never like, let's practice. And I don't know. There was a couple of times we had projects where we would try to sit down and map out like a turntablism
like
record.
A routine.
Yeah,
okay.
It's just like, a band or something. It's like you're trying to do counts and stuff, and I don't know. It just we always just did way better just jamming. We just freestyled everything. We would go do showers every the little mini tours we did to like Buffalo and Vermont and stuff like that. Little hip hop tours. We would just go up there and jam. I would start drum. I would usually drum. They would make me just I'd be able to hold the counts and everything like that better, and it was cleaner. But we would just jam. And that's been the whole thing. Everybody's like, when's the Skratchmatik album? So it's like, that's probably never going to happen.
right.
It's all organic.
Just record, a Monday night maybe. But that was just always been our stick. It's probably lazy, but that's just what we enjoy doing. It's always been for the fun. And that's kind of how we all fell apart, is when money got involved. Is just,
it's tough.
Just, people, Don, wanted to cook and had this new love for cooking, start being the head chef at Coco's, and was doing his art there and loved it, and Etch was doing his graffiti, and that's gone 100% well for him and stuff like that. And then like I said, I started doing Ned Peppers, which I love, but real hardcore way of looking at it, it's like selling out, but
that's what pays the bills.
It pays the bill. But I mean, I get it. People are like, oh, you got to play all top 40 and stuff like that, and but I get to mix it and cut it and scratch it and mix it up. These kids don't know what happened. Everywhere else you go, they're hearing Stop and Play, and their friends' parties at Stop and Play. Like they haven't heard Cardi B and Drake and Migos mixed up and remixed.
Before I knew who you were, I actually went in there one night, and I'm like, man, this fucker's crushing it. I don't know who he is. It's like he's way the hell up there. I was like, he's just killing it, and I was like.
The best part would be the live streams. Like he would just start streaming from his phone and just then cutting it, and you would see like everybody's just dancing, but every now and then like you could tell he was getting on it, and then all of a sudden you would see the people who know what's going on, and they would turn up.
Because I was just down there, I was just drinking, I was just having a drink because my wife was out with her girlfriends or something. I was like, who the damn.
Well, Jesse, are you willing to stay and do some cuts for us here for a little bit?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much for joining us here in studio and coming back on the show. Do you have anything that you'd like to plug for the audience? Any social media or anything like that?
No, I just have my Instagram, Fatty Lumpkin. I think I'm Jesse Twopair on Facebook.
Yeah, TWO.
I don't promote anything or anything like that. Just it's me and pictures of my kid, and
he live streams. He live streams quite often, folks. So dial in.
From Instagram,
post clips. Yeah.
I don't. It's not very good quality. I don't. But
people need to see your work, man. Because we this whole time we're having discussion about it, but they really need to see what it is that you do. So we're gonna record some footage of you here as well, if that's cool, and maybe post some clips and show the world what it is that Fatty Lumpkin does, man.
Okay, cool.
So thanks so much, man.
Yes, thank you.
COVID elbow. Thank you all so much for listening, and keep on spinning.
Easy.